all know about the gold rush of dreamstalkers in the late 80s. Filmmakers everywhere wanting to cash in on the success of A Nightmare on Elm Street. Italy, Russia, Mexico, India, and especially the United States oversaturated the market with ripoff after ripoff. It seriously feels like these knockoffs never end. And in 1988, Elm Street clones hit an all-time low. So low, in fact, that many would call it down under. Yup, even Australia threw its hat into the ring with a little movie called Kadaicha. But this one is a little different. Instead of a burned boogeyman with a glove full of knives, Kadaicha taps into Aboriginal mythology, specifically the legend of the Kadaicha Man, a spiritual assassin who uses cursed stones to mark his victims. But more on him later. We're going from Elm Street to folklore. And what's the best place to find folk horror? Severin's All the Haunts Be Ours box set. Of course it's this. This thing is amazing. Kadaicha is one of the many fascinating films featured in that collection. A collection definitely worth checking out. You know the drill already. The only way to determine if this is a ripoff is by digging into the similarities, breaking down the differences, and giving a rating to truly determine if Kadaicha is an Elm Street ripoff or not. Teenagers living on a single street are having nightmares about a man seeking revenge against the parents who wronged him. Those nightmares then lead to the teens perishing in real life. Yeah, those elements do sound familiar, but does Kadaicha do enough to step out of Freddy Krueger's shadow? Let's find out. The film opens with Tracy, a girl in a nightgown, walking barefoot through a rundown hallway area, very reminiscent of Tina wandering through the boiler room in A Nightmare on Elm Street. It gives off A Nightmare on Elm Street vibes for sure, but did Tina ever dream of the Alvin Ailey Dance Theater? Yeah, I didn't think so. And if you don't know who the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater is, well, they dance like this. That's a quality joke for the one person who actually got it. Tracy's nightmare leads her to a tribal-looking demon who hands her a painted crystal and gives her a pretty good jump scare too. When she wakes up, she's holding the crystal in her hand. Ah, so she can bring things back from her dreams? Nice. Naturally, she checks her room to make sure nothing else crossed over. Hey, don't look under the bed! Is another Freddy-styled ripoff. Maybe we'll cover that one someday. The next morning, we meet Gail, the family dog, her father, and his tiny little Speedo. Must be nice having a pool like that. At school, Tracy tells her friends about her nightmare and shows them the crystal. Their teacher interrupts and explains that it's a Kadaicha stone. According to legend, Kadaicha men gave these cursed stones to people who broke tribal law, marking them for death. Naturally, Tracy's friends brush it off as just a prank. That night, Tracy is attacked by a dog, but honestly, it's so dark I can't even tell what's happening. And before you say anything, yes, this is the Blu-ray copy, mastered from the only surviving broadcast quality video master. Something is better than nothing, I guess. Whatever happened, Gail's father is disgusted by what's left of Tracy. The cops and reporters assume some kind of large animal was involved. Soon after, another classmate, Frankie, has a nightmare. When he wakes up, a Kadaicha stone is waiting for him on his pillow. Now this is way worse than a tooth fairy. The students, realizing now what's happening, rush to their teacher for answers. She explains that the neighborhood that they live on was built on an Aboriginal burial ground.
Well, your street is the site of an old Aboriginal burial ground. There was quite a protest about it a couple of years ago when the area was being developed.
Oh, great. Not just another Elm Street ripoff, but we also have to rip off Poltergeist too? What are we, Satan's bed? Even worse, Gail's father was the developer who built the houses there. Dun dun dun! When Gail confronts him about it, he just shrugs it off. Classic horror dad move. The teens start digging through the school library and find a newspaper article about an Aboriginal man who had warned the construction crew not to disturb the sacred land. Later that night, Gail encounters the same man on her lawn, where he warns her yet again, leave the land or more people will perish.
If you stay, more young white fella die.
No, this next part kind of leans into some problematic stereotypes, and it's definitely racist and was definitely still racist even in 1988. But remember that film is a time capsule, and even though this hasn't aged well, let's look at it as just a movie. Meanwhile, Frankie stays behind to do more research, hoping to find a way to save himself. We get some moody, atmospheric shots here, and then he's attacked by a spider, biting straight into his eye. Did it just attack his eyeball? What is this, a Lucio Fulci movie? With Frankie gone, the curse now moves on to yet another teen. And that's basically how the middle act plays out. A teen receives the stone, gets marked for execution, is knocked off by some sort of animal attack, and then the stone moves to another kid. Rinse and repeat. Eventually, Gail herself receives the stone. Now the clock is ticking. She digs deeper into the mystery, leading to some pretty eerie dream sequences and creepy imagery, and even a boom mic cameo in the Jeep. Hey, Mike! The big question: can Gail change her fate, or will the Kadaicha stone and the evil spirit behind it destroy the entire community? Find out in Kadaicha, or as VHS fans knew it, the Stones of Death. Well, I guess some could call that a movie. Look, I love crappy movies, and I like good movies too, but Kadaicha is neither of those. The worst thing a film can do is be boring, and to me, this one was just dull. The murky picture quality doesn't help either. Now, I understand that this Blu-ray came from the only surviving broadcast master, but still, for a deluxe set, it's a shame. And it's not just the visuals. The story never really grabs you. The Aboriginal folklore angle could have been a compelling hook, but here it feels insincere and a little tasteless. The direction is competent but uninspired. The cinematography has a few striking moments, but it mostly feels flat and static. When the movie does click, there are flashes of atmosphere and creativity, but those moments are too few and far between.
Yes, it's James Bogle arriving on set for Kadaicha.
Morning, Mr. Wyndham.
Limo. James, baby, so nice to see you this morning. How are you?
Kadaicha was part of the tail end of Ozploitation, a movement that gave us classics like Patrick, Next of Kin, and Razorback. Now, unlike those films, Kadaicha didn't really break internationally, and mostly found life on VHS under the alternate title, The Stones of Death. Interestingly enough, Zoe Carditis, the actress who played Gail, has said that Kadaicha was originally made as a straight-to-video production in Australia, but somehow it ended up getting a very limited theatrical run in the US. That's pretty nifty, I guess.
Yeah, actually, it did get a theatrical release in the United States. It was made as a package deal of 4 films, and it was the only one of 4 films to get a theatrical release in the US. The rest of them went straight to video.
So, how much Elm Street DNA does Kadaicha really have? I'd say it's roughly 15% Elm Street, 10% Poltergeist, and 75% its own problematic thing. Sure, it borrows from some bigger horror films of that era, but for the most part, it tries to tell its own story. The Elm Street similarities feel more like coincidences than deliberate rip-offs. Honestly, I've seen way worse offenders. And that wraps up this year's dive into the strange world of Freddy Krueger knockoffs. I've covered a bunch already, but there are still plenty more out there. So drop your favorite overlooked Elm Street ripoff in the comments below, and maybe I'll tackle them next year in a part 3. But for now, I'm ready to put the Freddy clones to rest and to shine some light on some truly obscure horror films that definitely deserve your attention. So hopefully I see you in the next one, and happy Halloween, everyone.